Welcome back to the Thinking Out Loud podcast. My name is Kevin Wilson.
And I'm Kyle.
And we are excited to be here with you again for another week of the show. And so Kyle and I was talking, and we were talking before the show, and he started saying some blasphemous things. And so since he started saying blasphemous, heretical, all the things, I just told him, I was like, dude, just stop. I was like, will you just stop? We're not even talking about this right now. We're actually going to talk about this on the air. And I just want to help you to understand what he said. And, you know, I might need some help from the listeners. I don't know, but we need to really pray for Kyle. So I brought up one of my favorite restaurants, Chick-Fil-A. And his words to me was, I don't really see what's so great about Chick-fil-A. Like, I don't get the whole Chick-fil-A thing. I mean, in so many words is what he said. Though that's just not acceptable. And
why is it that anytime I say, it's like, to Chick-fil-A lovers, it's almost like those are fighting words. Like, you give me the look, and I think I'm lucky we're on Zoom because I get this look from people when I say Chick-fil-A's not that good, and it's like they're debating in their mind, should I slap him? Do I physically put my hands on him, or is my facial expression enough of a letdown for him to know he's wrong? What is the deal with that? Like, what?
Dude.
Am I not woke enough for you? Is that what this is?
Yeah. You're definitely not woke if you don't like Chick-fil-A. Like, I mean, it's, I don't listen. I've had a lot of chicken sandwiches in my life.
Kevin, come on now. We know you've had a lot of chicken.
Now, I hope you guys get his drift there. You know, he's being funny. You know,
we're friends. We can be funny like that.
Talking about I had a lot of chicken sandwiches in my life, man. This is see what happens, man. My goodness. Anyways, so I've had a lot of chicken sandwiches in my life, and I actually don't. Let me say this: I actually don't like chicken that much, by the way. So, you know, for back at his joke, I'll clap back a little bit.
No, it's not a joke. You don't like steak, you don't like barbecue, you don't like watermelon, and now Kevin, a Black American, doesn't like chicken.
I'm not a big fan of chicken. Like you have effectively crashed
any stereotypical, like anything to do with Black Americans. You've done it.
You know, I would never pick chicken. So like if I ever went to a restaurant or, you know, for dinners at home, or my wife asked me all the time, you know, every Sunday, what do you want for dinners this week? You will never hear the words chicken come out of my mouth. I'm not a big fan of meat in general. Like, yes, do I eat hamburgers? Yup. That's about the extent of what I like as far as meat is concerned. I don't think I'd ever miss chicken if I didn't have it. I definitely don't like chicken on a bone. It's just disgusting.
No, I don't like it on the bone either.
Ugh, I don't no.
Unless we're talking flats.
Yeah. Hey, but I'm talking about chicken patties at this point. So like just the fried chicken patties.
Here's why I don't like I don't think.
Oh boy.
It's not that I don't like Chick-fil-A. I like Chick-fil-A. I don't understand the hype in Chick-fil-A.
What's better? What's better? Like what? Name a chicken place that's better.
You are going to hate me for this. What's wrong with Popeyes? Come on, man. No, listen. Their chicken sandwich with the pickle on top. I would rather spend less time eating that.
Hey. Hey, listen, it's funny. As soon as he said Popeyes, my earbud actually flew out of my ear. Like And it wasn't even intentional. Like God is Man, I'm telling you, listen, if you don't hear him on the show next week, this is why. Like
No,
we fired him.
Listen. I honestly think what did it for me is
Popeyes.
everybody.
Popeyes. What you grew
Dude,
up in? No, oh, never mind. What?
Yeah, go. Listen, what I think what did it for me is everybody talked it up like this is. Listen, what are we talking about again? Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Sorry. Chick-fil-A.
Oh my.
You understand? I live in a church world, okay? So I have pastor friends, and you would think that was like the waiting room to the throne room or something. Like they talk about it like it's heaven on earth. And so I'm like, oh, it's gonna be this amazing thing, and it's just gotta be a pastor thing because I get there and I'm like, their sauce ain't even that good. Like I'm like, their sauce ain't even like the Chick-fil-A sauce. It was like, oh, you gotta have it with the sauce. I'm like, it ain't that good, bro. It ain't. It is. There's nothing in my mind that's different from them than if you would have talked Popeyes up to me. And I would have tried Popeyes. I'd have been like, oh, it's not that good. It's not. I honestly think it was just the hype before actually doing it. That's what I think. And then you gotta wait. No, it better be Christian service. You gotta wait 45 minutes for fast food. You're darn right. You better be nice to me.
Hey, listen, man. Okay, there's so many things I could say, and I don't even know where to start. But like, Popeyes, really? Like Popeyes. Look, I mean, hopefully we never have to have pop. You know, I guess Popeyes will never be a sponsor on this show. But but Popeyes, dude, like that is like. I don't even know what the words to say, but that's like second rate chicken. That's like I put Popeyes in the same category as Church's chicken. Like it's
Church's chicken is good.
Oh, come on. Okay.
Chicken
so
Shack. Chicken Shack is good.
Listen, if you put Church's chicken in anywhere near your top fast food chicken places, I have no words for you. And your whole thing about your pastor saying like it's like a waiting room for heaven. I will tell you the Chick-fil-A, it might not be heaven on earth, but it's at least purgatory.
I will say this.
Like it's like because
you gotta pay so much just to get in there.
Yeah. Get out of here. Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's Catholicism 101.
Oh my goodness. You
listen,
know what?
Listen, I will say
let's not be.
I will say, if you are a Catholic, I'm sorry. It was a joke.
Saying? He's just wrong.
You're making me mad. I'm a foodie. You're talking about food. No, but listen, I will say this. It is the freshest piece of chicken I've ever had from a fast food place. But it's not the best.
Listen, you know, you're talking to a guy who in our food pantry, we have bottles, not packets. We have bottles of Chick-fil-A sauce.
That's the problem.
Like they
have franchised you. That's why you like them so much.
No.
They have learned the art of franchising their customers. It's a cult. It's a cult. When you spin your Lazy Susan and you have bottles of Chick-fil-A sauce, it's a cult. That's how you know it's a cult.
No. We've got.
You
bottles.
May be a redneck if. No, I'm just kidding. All right. We're speaking of food. Let's get on a little more lighthearted note. I've called that Catholicism and rednecks now. So let's get me off this subject. But we were talking.
I just want you to know. He knows I was going to say something else, and he just cut me off because he doesn't want to hear any more about Chick-fil-A. And you know, all of my Chick-fil-A fans out there, you know, I just want you guys to have my back. I need you guys to get on our Facebook page, and I want you to tell Kyle what the truth is. He's all about truth. He's all about facts. He's all about, you know, all of that. There's a lot of truth in Chick-fil-A being the best fast food chicken joint in the nation.
Yeah.
Period.
Does Chick-fil-A have Cajun breaded chicken where they're at?
Who eats Cajun? I don't want that.
Kevin, of course you don't want Cajun, but majority want Cajun. Okay, so
Wow,
let's just
this might be one of the most, you know,
hey.
and I'm not
Listen.
editing any of this out, by the way. We're not, when we send this to the production company, everything Kyle said is going to be left in here.
So Kyle's gonna be canceled. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Let's get into the topic of our show, because this is exactly what we're talking about today. We didn't even plan it. Listen, we love each other. It's all fun and games.
Oh, yeah.
And listen, if I offended you, I am sorry. But in real talk, we're talking about a woke culture. Last week we talked about woke, stay woke, what's it mean, and how it's intermingled with cancel culture, whose truth is what truth, and Kevin's going to get into it a little bit today, but the perception of truth. And basically we live in a generation where if something does offend you, it's no longer confronting the issue. It's literally just canceling out the issue. And so that has a lot to do with this woke culture that we're experiencing and that we have experienced. But last week we talked about how woke culture was really, it was a culture that's been around for a long time. It's been around probably since the 60s, if we really want to go back that far.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, for Black Americans, it was a word just to basically say, hey, stay alert. Stay alert with the injustices that are going on. And then we've experienced it really in our generation. If you've seen someone say hashtag stay woke or hashtag woke, what it really was, it was an alert out for police brutality, mainly against Black Americans.
Yep.
However, what we digested last week was the fact that in America, it just becomes way too convenient for us to take a word that was originally meant for something, or to take a community of people, or we take an agenda that was meant for something and then turn it and twist it into being what we want it to be. And so we discussed a number of things. If you have not listened to that show, I challenge you, go back and listen to it. Kevin really did a good job educating us on what Dr. King really was trying to promote, which was equality in the process of life, not necessarily an equality in the outcome. Because everybody operates different. There are going to be different outcomes in different scenarios. And just because there's a different outcome doesn't mean that there was an inequality in the process to get that outcome. And so we really talked about what it meant to be woke, to be educated, to be alert to the social injustices, to the police brutality, to just injustice in general. But then we also discussed what it meant to be fake woke, and what it meant to just have this cool trend, and we're going to, without any education, promote something, hashtag woke it, and then hopefully that creates change. And unfortunately, it has. Unfortunately, our nation has created and implemented some major changes in some major organizations because they believe they're hashtag woke, but the decisions they've made have no educational basis to them. And so what we're seeing in this woke generation now is we're becoming a culture that's raised by emotions and feelings and what we say is right. And the problem is, and Kevin said it so well, is it's going to collapse on itself. That type of culture is going to collapse on itself. And we'll get into it today, and I'm going to turn it over to Kevin. But what I want you to understand is we cannot be a society that says, hey, you can do and you can say whatever you want to do and say as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. Because what we're going to find out with the woke culture and the cancel culture and how they're both intermingled is the more that you try to cancel, the more that you try to allow, the more that you try to promote in this woke nation, the more toes you're going to step on, and eventually you're going to step on your own because you're just allowing way too much. Because when you don't have a basis or a fundamental truth system and everything's just true, you're going to end up contradicting yourself. And you're going to see that whole basis is going to collapse on itself. And so what we want to do today is continue that education on what does it mean to be woke? How should we properly be using this, if we should be using this woke hashtag anymore? And what are some things to do to stay away from it? And then we're going to discuss specifically how this nation and the world in general has made some decisions along those lines that can be rather dangerous.
Yeah, so eloquently put, Kyle. And yeah, we're gonna get on that. And last time, what we did was we went through, kind of the problems as well. We left off at the problems. What's the problem with wokeness? And we talked about the fact that it doesn't actually fix anything. It just blames entire people groups. We talked about, as Christians, we should always be aware. We talked about the fact that it confuses the purpose of the civil rights movement. And that's where we talked about equality of process and equality of outcome. And then we want to continue today in the problem with wokeness. And one of them is it's wokeness in and of itself is perceived truth. It's not really true, right? So we use the example of the police brutality last week. Somebody sees a 30-minute clip and they go, racism's real, stay woke. Like that like they would post that video and then put the line on Facebook, racism is real, stay woke. With no context, they didn't research, they have no idea what happened 30 minutes before that 30-second clip that they saw, but yet they're telling you to stay woke. Well, that's a perceived truth. We have no idea if that's actually true.
Right.
And we live in a society where you hear this a lot. Well, that's your truth. Well, this is my truth. I'm glad you found your truth. Here's the problem with that. There is no such thing as your truth and my truth and their truth. And we can't all have truth.
Right.
Like Kyle said, there has to be a basis on where we start just in general. Like we can't, listen, I can't look at the color blue and Kyle says it's red and I say it's yellow, because then when somebody says, hey, I want to paint my house blue, then I don't know, who do you talk to? Because my blue is red, Kyle's blue is yellow, and your blue is green, but that's your truth. Yeah. Well, none of the houses, one house is going to be green, one house is going to be red, one house is going to be yellow. Why? Because no one would agree that blue, as it's supposed to be, is actually blue, and that's the house. So the outcome of that house is going to be different than what you originally intended. Yep. And so this is the exact same thing that's going to happen in our society if we continue going down the path of, quote, woke culture, or that's your truth. I hope you live your truth. Go ahead and live your truth. But at the end of the day, your truth is not going to flush out, and your life and the society is not going to look the way we envisioned it, because there is no such thing as your truth, my truth. There's only one truth, and that's the truth that's in God's word, and that's science, and that's all the things that God created. And by the way, God created science. So,
yep. Which is why science is proving God's word.
That's right. And but that's what I'm saying. So we all can't be right. And when we look at, well, that's your truth, and this is my truth. We do that about religion, right? We say, we'll say to a Buddhist person, well, that's your truth. I'm glad you found your truth, right? Because we want everyone to just get along, and we don't want anybody to step on anybody's toes, and all the things, right? But here's the problem. Here's what I wish would happen, actually. If you know what's true, which we all do, right? The Bible says that, the image of God and who God is just been imprinted on our hearts. We know, we understand, right? But here's the thing. If you don't want to follow God's laws, you don't want to follow the word of God, you don't want to follow the creator who knows you better than yourself, I'd rather you just say, you know what, Kev, I know that that's the right way to go, but I just don't want to do that right now. Like that's just not me. That's just not what I'm doing. That's not what I want to do. I don't really want to be a part of that whole, God's word and what he has for me. I just kind of want to do my thing right now. I would respect you more if you said that to me, even though it would hurt me, but I would respect you because you're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come to me and say, well, Kevin, same-sex marriage, you say, well, one man, one woman, in a relationship. Well, that's your truth. Well, my truth is that a man and a man can be together, a woman and a woman can be together, or, I believe that, I'm actually a woman and not a man, even though I was born a man. Like all the things that are being said in society today. And it's like, well, that's your truth. Go ahead with it. I would rather you just say, hey, dude, I don't care about the Bible. I don't care what it says. I'm just going to do my thing. Because at the end of the day, that's a false floor, and we will never get to where we want to be. And I'll tell you, and it just seems like to me, Kyle, that this would be so plain to people, like that people would understand how this could not. There's like you can't scale this. Like
Right.
It's not scalable. Like at what 50 years from now, if everything is my truth and everything is quote woke, like you said, we're gonna end up stepping on our own toes because nothing's sacred. There's no clear lines in society.
Yeah, and that's where you #woke begs the question, what's your agenda? Because at this point, you're not awakening yourself to any truth. You're using a 30-second clip. You're using a potato head. You're using Dr. Seuss books to really promote a different type of agenda. And because it's a platform, you're going to use that platform. And I wrap it in that. Let me explain it, because I'm not so surface to where I look at a potato head and say you're using that. Or let me explain it real quick. In the release, Hasbro said that it was making sure all feel welcome in the potato head world by officially dropping the Mr. from the Mr. Potato Head brand, because they want to promote gender equality and inclusion. Basically saying that they needed a modern makeover to their brand. Why? Because that appeals to society today. Okay. Toy makers have been updating their classic brands to appeal to kids today. Barbie has shed its blonde image and now comes in multiple skin tones, body shapes. Thomas the Tank Engine added more girl characters. American Girl is now selling boy dolls. And then Dr. Seuss. There's 6 Dr. Seuss books that will no longer be published because they portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong. Listen, do I have a problem with any of this? At surface level, no. At surface level, if a Dr. Seuss book depicts people in hurtful or wrong ways, and we're deciding that we are going to cancel them because we are woke to the feelings of others, okay. Yep. I am okay with that. Yep. I am okay with, and I support that the image of the Barbie isn't just a blonde hair, blue-eyed white girl, because that is not the reality of this world. There needs to be different skin tones. I am in support of Mr. Potato Head, the brand being called Potato Head, as long as there is still a Mr. Potato Head character and a Mrs. Potato Head character. I don't see anything wrong with that either. However, what's the agenda behind all of this? Because I can't believe that we're so mad at a potato brand, we're so mad at a Barbie brand, and we're so mad at a Dr. Seuss kids book where you have to dig out the hurtful and portraying images. Like, as a kid, you're not going to read that and say, that's a black man they're talking about. You're not going to do that. However, it's there. Okay, so I get all of that. But what's the agenda behind this? Because if we were really woke to racism, if we were really woke to sexual equality, if we were really woke to the well-being of our young ones, then we wouldn't have half of the artists out there that are out there right now. If we're going to be woke to these situations, why is Cardi B still out there after admitting that she has drugged, raped, and robbed people, men?
Right. Why is WAP?
Why is WAP? Yeah. Why is WAP?
Winning awards.
Exactly.
Winning an award for the #1 song.
So what I have to believe, Kevin, is that this whole woke culture is wrong. It's fake. It's false, and it's an agenda, and there is an agenda behind it. Because, in my honest opinion, we wouldn't have started with Mr. Potato Head. We may have ended there. We may have said, "Hey, listen, after talking about Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, and after going through the R. Kellys, and after going through all the football players that are throwing their girls on a bed of guns, and we got all that done. Hey, guys, maybe Mr. Potato Head just for equality here. Let's do Potato Head and still have the individual characters. Okay. Hey guys, maybe we should start dissecting these Dr. Seuss books. I could see that conversation happening after you go in mainstream media and say our kids are being infiltrated with this. Monday Night Football is being watched by kids all over the world, and we have an Aaron Hernandez still playing after he's been connected to multiple murders. Now, we know how his story happened, but what I'm saying is the NFL wasn't kicking him out.
Right.
They weren't going to kick him out. They knew it for 6 years before he even went to court. They were moving him around. They were helping him escape. And what I'm trying to say is that there are big ticket items that haven't even been approached. But we're going after school books. We're going after toys. Kev, man, hashtag woke. It sounds so dumb when you really start dissecting what's going on. So what's the agenda? What's the agenda behind it?
Right. Right. And and you guys, you may look at this and you may say, this is really simple. Like this, like what, like, I don't understand why you're so up in arms. And I'll tell you, I mean, I listen to a good amount of podcasts, and I cannot tell you the amount of Christians who are good with this. Like who are, progressive. And we're going to talk about this because, man, it's
progressive Christianity.
Progressive Christianity.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about this upcoming. I've got some requests out for a particular author that I would love to have on the show to talk about it, because it's amazing to me that the church would go along with something like this.
Right.
Why would you why would you go along with, feeling like this is right, and saying things like, well, the church is all up in arms about this. And, I don't understand why they're so up in arms. We're just trying to get equality for everyone. And it's like, what are you talking about? There's an agenda behind this. We should not in 2021 be sitting and talking about whether Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head is an issue on a box for little children. They don't care. Here's the thing. You want to know how you shape a society? You want to know how people become racist? Racism and all of these other things, they're taught. They're taught. And you are teaching children now to be so sensitive about things that they cannot stand to see a box that says Mr. on it. And you know what I want? You know what I really want to do? I want to go, once all of these come out, I want to go to the toy store with a magic marker and put Mr. on every single one of the boxes. And
you can do that on your way to Chick-Fil-A, Kev.
And not to be, I say that in jest slightly, I'm not going to go and deface anything, right? But why are we raising a snowflake, whimsy, gutless, spineless culture? Like why are we doing this? Because this is the generation that we're raising. And the Dr. Seuss books, and I agree with Kyle, if something is being portrayed wrong, let's do what we can to make sure that we're not doing crazy things, right? We shouldn't be writing racist books. We shouldn't do all of these things, right? But what's the agenda behind it? If you want to know, because some of you may or may not know, maybe you don't watch the news, or maybe you're not on social media, but the 6 books from Dr. Seuss that they're canceling is And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, If I Ran the Zoo, Eaglet's Pool. I know I didn't say that right. On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Eggs Super, and the Cat's Quizzer. That's the 6 books. In case you have read these books. Now I know I have some Dr. Seuss books in my house. We have literally hundreds of books in our house because we love to read. And I will tell you, I don't think I've ever sat down with a Dr. Seuss book and thought anything else but how did this guy make millions of dollars on these ridiculous rhyming words? If I would have
ahead of his
known,
time.
right? If I would have known I could do that, I would give you all kinds of books. I'll write you one right now. Like you're gonna pay me, right? But and then you got Disney Plus. Oh, the beloved Disney. They removed several classic titles from their children's profiles this week. So now they just removed them from the children's profile. If you have an adult profile, you can still see these titles. But Disney Plus removed Dumbo, Peter Pan, Swiss Family Robinson, and the Aristocats. Like,
what do you learn from Dumbo? Have you seen Dumbo?
It's been so long since I've seen Dumbo.
You want to know what you learned from Dumbo?
What do I learn from Dumbo?
Have faith, believe, accomplish things yourself. No, literally, like Dumbo is even if you don't feel like you belong,
yeah,
you have
it's
value.
coming back to me. Yeah, yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And instead, we are woke enough to educate the culture that, well, Dumbo's actually racist and we need to not watch him. So you're negating the message of hope. You're negating the message of encouragement and self-motivation and being able to do things even when you do stick out, that you still have value. All those messages apparently don't matter because there's somewhere in Dumbo hidden a racial stereotype.
Right.
Well, I have news for everybody listening. Whether you're white, black, brown, Asian, it doesn't matter. Where you go, you can find racial stereotypes if you look for them. You will find them everywhere. You're not canceling the hot dog stand. You're not canceling the strip clubs. You're not canceling, I'll go down the list. Yep. You're not canceling Coke. Try to be less white. You don't think white people aren't mad about that? Try to be less white from the Coke slogan? But that's the hashtag woke. We're not canceling Coke because they said that. No. Okay. Well, they're trying to appeal to the masses. Fine. I'll get over that. I don't like it. I don't understand it, but I'll get over that. I'm not canceling them. And here's why I think woke culture and cancel culture merge. I truly believe woke culture was for Black Americans to stay alert because there are just some bad things that happen in society. Mm-hmm. And then when that got misused, it birthed cancel culture. Birthed it. And so now being woke means doing whatever you can to cancel situations. Look, we want to cancel things. Why do Cuties take so long on Netflix just to get something done about? Let's be honest. If we're going to be this woke culture, children aren't for sale. Yep. Sorry, they're not for sale. Why was Cuties on there for so long? Why did it take Netflix taking a massive hit for them to realize this is not okay? Those same people, the same hierarchy, the same higher up in power people that allow Cuties to be out there are the same ones saying Dr. Seuss can't exist anymore in 6 different ways. Are the same ones that are saying Dumbo has to come down. Peter Pan has to come down. Really? The agenda? I don't know if that was the right question. It's literally, guys, again, we're passionate because it's a lack of education. Look, we're all about change. We're all about activism. Do it the right way. Start with the right things. Right. We can't have certain things happening in our nation and around the world, but put so much focus and emphasis on certain literatures and certain cartoon movies and things of that nature that honestly have helped build and shape some of the best character people that we know today have been motivated by some of these books and some of these movies.
Yeah. I just think about our entertainment industry just in general, right? We'll take our little girls to see Beyonce or Cardi B or, name your girl out, Megan the Stallion, who all these people, right? These people are disgusting, period. right? Just
No.
disgusting. And we're totally fine with that. We're not going to cancel them for being half naked on a stage, dancing around for all, to see. But yet, we're going to cancel a Peter Pan movie. We're going to take it off the show. We don't want them to see that. But we're totally fine with putting, I don't know, name your sleazy concert, which is almost all of them, right? Like, do we really think that Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, and Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, and all these other people, do you really think that they're like role models for your kids? Like what? Like, and this is, and I think of it like this. Think about, people are so sensitive, but think about stand-up comedy. Like, if so, anybody knows me knows I love a good stand-up comedy. Like,
Yep.
Man, I've got so many stand-up comedy. Back when we were watching DVDs, I still have so many in boxes. Cause I'm like, man, my internet goes out. I'm gonna throw one of these bad boys in and have a good laugh. Like, I love stand-up. Okay. Now, one of the cool things about stand-up is that you can make fun of different cultures without being mean. Like, it's a celebration of the diversity that we have amongst ourselves in this world, and bring a funny spin to it, as opposed to being so super sensitive that that we're offended every single time somebody says something. So, and I would say stand-up comedy is an equal opportunity offender. They don't care. Look, Jeff Foxworthy will get on there, or you get the guys from Blue Collar Comedy. Those guys will rag on rednecks all day, right? They will rag on them all day long, right? You get some black comedians and they'll talk about the black race versus the white race. Like, have you ever, like whatever, whatever the joke is, they will say, but if I was a white person, here's how I would do it. Or if I was a black person, whatever. There is nothing wrong with that. Like, that is great. I think Frank Caliendo, when he does the impression of Charles Barkley, and he's like, he's like, that man's a knucklehead. He is terrible. TRBL, terrible. Now, now listen. Now, why would I be so sensitive? Frank Caliendo is a white guy, right? Why would I sit there and be so sensitive and say, well, I can't believe he was talking like a black man right there. Like, he was really trying to give the stereotypical black man talk, because he was talking about a black man. And to hear a white man sound like that is freaking hilarious. Like, that's just, but you know what I'm saying?
You talk about comedy. The best to do it, and you're probably gonna be like,
oh,
why'd you
Lord help us.
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I haven't seen.
So I don't watch him anymore. As a teenager, I watched him, and
yes.
he had a great way of depicting. He's a black man, dude. He has a skit where, and it would not live today. It wouldn't make it today. Where he is he's black, he's blind, and he's in the South, and he thinks he's white, and he's racist. And he depicts this racism through the black. But anyway, what I'm saying is there is a time and a place, like you're saying, and that kind of stuff today, obviously, like even in the comedy realm, it just, and maybe that's why I didn't listen to, he came back out, and I didn't listen to why he fell off, because he didn't fall off because of his choosing. Hollywood pretty much told him to go, I guess, is how it looked. But there was some deep stuff there too, where he was canceled before cancel culture came out.
Yeah.
And again, where's the basis of all of this? So, like, again, the challenge today is don't just follow someone who's woke. Don't just follow someone because they hashtag woke it. Odds are, and we went over it before, but odds are if their activism only exists on someone's social media, they're not. They're fake woke. If they're ignorant towards opposing information, they're fake woke. And they'll be ignorant towards it because they're unwilling to compromise. They're unwilling to compromise and admit when they have bad information. Guys, it's fake woke. You're not woke because you decide it's going to be cool to and trendy to post your opinions that match with somebody else's without any education on it. We have there's more than just the Dr. Seuss books and stuff. There's a lot that's going on with gun reform right now. And listen, I have my side of how I believe about it, and we're not going to get into it today, but there's two sides to that. And what I'm seeing right now with what's going on with the gun reform is both sides.
Yep.
It's a woke mentality of, well, this is how I feel and this is right, and there's no basis behind it. And we're sharing sources that aren't legit, and we're talking about and then we're mixing the president candidates in it. And it's just not right. We have to become educated on why we believe what we believe. And if we don't, things like woke culture and cancel culture, they're going to continue to raise a generation to fall. To fall.
Yeah. I look at it. There's just a few points that I have. If woke for me means I'm going to be suspicious of people who are not my skin tone, I don't want to be woke.
Right.
Like if I have to walk into a room, or if I have to go somewhere, or whatever the case may be, and I have to be suspicious that you're racist just because you're white, I don't want to be woke. Like, I'm not a fool. I'm a black man, and I know racism when I see it, and I'll address racism when I see it. But I'm not going to walk around with a chip on my shoulder. That is not what God has called me to do. Right. Like, I don't care. And no, did God call me to sit down and just take it and turn, just be, whatever, a rug? No, that's not what I'm saying. But by the same token, I cannot walk around with a chip on my shoulder around every person that's not my color, or I'm not going to idolize my color over somebody else, because really what's happening is the reverse is going to happen. So we're concerned about racism against black people. If this continues to go, we're going to have to be concerned more than we are today about racism against white people. Right. I mean, at some point we should never idolize any color of skin, any color at all. So if that's woke, I don't want to be woke. And I would say, as long as humans are on earth, there's going to be racism. I've said that before. Yep. Only Christ can fix a person's heart in that way. And then I thought of this the other day as I was just thinking about this woke culture. Is just track with me here. Could woke culture be a form of what the devil did in the Garden of Eden? Think about what happened in the Garden of Eden, right? They were good, walking with God, everything was cool. And then the devil came along and said, you know what? You're not aware of really what's going on around you. Like he told you not to eat of that tree, but you know what? If you do, you're going to know way more than what you know now.
Right.
And I feel like it's the same spirit that's working in the earth right now. Mm-hmm. It's saying, stay woke. You don't understand what's lying beneath there. And if you don't stay woke, if you don't, you're going to miss out on something, and they're going to hunt you down. And guys, I'm telling you, man, this is the devil at his same old tricks. And as Christians, we've always been admonished to stay woke in the way. Now, here's the thing. As Christians, we're admonished to stay woke, but not in the way the world sees things. We're not supposed to be woke to the world. We're actually supposed to be woke to Christ, if we're going to use woke for the word, right? And so we are to stay vigilant. We are to stay on our guard. We should have discernment, right? Not wokeness. So if you're a Christian and you're listening to me, stop with the wokeness and get with discernment. Get with the Spirit of God. Get with prayer. Get, hashtag pray, hashtag discernment, hashtag wisdom. Like, not woke. We are also to stay woke to the truth, right? Not my truth, not your truth, but to the truth. If society starts saying that things are right that are wrong, and then they say hashtag stay woke, and you go along with that as a Christian, you're not woke, you're asleep. Because you're woke to the world and sleep to God. You have no idea what the word of God says. And I would challenge every Christian out there that's listening to us. And I'm saying this because I love you. And I will never get on these airwaves and say anything but things that I know that could be backed up by scripture. I'm a black man, so you can't say things like, well, but you just don't understand because you haven't went through it. You don't know what it means. I do know what it means, and I have been through it. But I am a Christian first before I'm a black man. I am a Christian first before I'm anything else, fill in the blank. I am a Christian first. I don't want to be woke to the world. I want to be woke to Christ. And I think churches need to be careful with getting caught up in this too, because I think a lot of pastors, I'm starting to see them bring in Latasha Morrison, who is the founder of the Be the Bridge. And, I still have more research to do on this. But what I've seen so far of Be the Bridge, and someone asked me, another pastor's wife in another state actually sent me some materials and said, hey, can you, they're introducing this in my church. Can you look over this and tell me what you think? And I will tell you, I was appalled at some of the things that was in that curriculum. But churches and pastors are being duped into this because it's a white guilt trip. As if, everyone's racist, everyone's a problem, and that's simply not the truth. Is there racist people out there? Absolutely. But I believe that Be the Bridge is critical race theory for the church. Like it's put in a nice package with an eloquent speaker in person who can present it well. But basically, it's just saying, yeah, all white people are racist by default. And here's how you can not be racist. Like, come on, guys. This is not the way God would handle this. Now, should we handle racism in our society? Absolutely. Should we be upset about it? Should we even be angry about it? Absolutely. But we need to find out how we deal with it properly.
Yep.
And I just got a couple of scriptures here, and we were talking about truth, and it's your truth versus my truth, and we're woke to truth and all of these types of things. But listen what the Bible actually says about calling something that's good evil and evil good. We can't have Mr. Potato Head, because that just says, that doesn't open it up to everyone. All these things, right? Isaiah 5:20 through 21 says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness. I would say that's woke culture all day, fake woke culture. Who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. Those are powerful scriptures. If you dig into them and you dig into woke culture, you'll understand that this is exactly what's you can get out of these scriptures in principle. And so I think it's very, very, we need to be very careful in this, and especially as church, as Christians, let's not get caught up in being woke, guys. Let's get caught up in Christ. And he's making us alive. He's the one that's showing us how we need to move forward. So, I hope as we've went through this, that you've really understood our hearts behind it. And I know we get passionate about a few points in this. That's just, we care about people, and we want to see everyone just show Christ in society. And because we're far from where we should be as a church, and we need to get there. So I would just encourage you, have these conversations. And you're not going to always agree with us on everything. We don't expect you to. Like we expect to have listeners who don't agree. And that's okay. You don't have to stop listening because you don't agree with this show, right? I listen to podcasts all the time that I don't agree with, right?
We've had people not agree with us. We've had, one thing you can do is we have conversations.
Yeah.
And we're gonna respectfully at times say, listen, we respect your opinion, but this is what we believe, and it doesn't mean you have to stop listening. It doesn't mean that we want you to stop listening. That's not it at all. We respect your opinion and honestly respect the fact that we can have a cordial conversation about it, and we can be respectful and just do it the right way. And so that's what this is for, is to bring on the conversation, bring on the awareness, bring the education towards the conversation, and not just have an emotional conversation.
Right, absolutely. And so, hey, if you guys, and if you're listening and you say, hey, Cav, you need to read this, or I want you to understand this better or that better, whatever the case may be, and you have some suggested reading or something, send it to us. I'll read it. I read all kinds of things, both things that agree with my opinion and things that are 100% against what I believe. Why? Because I want to make sure I'm well-rounded in what I'm talking about. So feel free to do that. And again, scroll down to the bottom. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, scroll down all the way to the bottom there and give us a rating there. Give us some stars. And then also you're going to want to go down there and put in a review. This helps us tremendously. We appreciate you guys that are out there. Share things like this on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. We have our Thinking Out Loud podcast fans page, a private group, and then we have Thinking Out Loud podcast page. We've got over 1,000 of you following there already, and so we appreciate that. And then, of course, our website is www.thinkingoutloudmedia.com. And so you can reach us there as well. You can listen on Pandora and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podchaser, you name it, we're there. So we love you guys so much. And hey, God bless you guys. We'll see you next week.